All right, so this first one I'm going to do, because I'm only going to do two. This first one's kind of quick. It's called Creation. It's also in my book, Speak Now. And, yeah, let's get into it. They say God created heaven and earth, and then a bang happened and gases emerged. That's spiritual combined with science. God particle creates all, but everything came from a single atom now. That's science. The word is power. Do you know the power of speech? Words were used to create everything, but that's back to biblical or, well, spiritual, so let me explain what I mean. All right, it's back to spiritual, well, biblical, so let me explain what I mean. Genesis chapter 1 reads, God said, link a series of verses up to 15. No, up to 26. I stand corrected, but in perspective, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God. The words used to create. So again, I say, words were used to create everything. The power of words. Or the power of Zeus and Prometheus. Clearing the land of the titans and creatures, they saw fit to create new features, new futures, and there was mankind. Greeks loved those lines such as, autumn sprang from the waters of chaos, or should I say the Egyptians got raw so that you don't get lost. But enough with the mythology when I can say honestly that maybe it was man who created it all. Or who wrote the stories big and small, or maybe you understand it better if I asked who wrote the stories and told us, y'all. Mankind combined with a higher spirit would led this all. For mankind gets its ideas from the unknown, but no one knows the source from which those ideas are honed. So mankind identifies the unknown with deities that create. Yahweh, Yahweh, Brahma, Brahma, Shvara, Allah, Parandia, Waheguru, Dionysi, Tao, Zeus, Odin, Ra, God. The unknown, known by many names that created man, that man creates. But when it all boils down to it, and we've actually checked the history and the facts, every word we speak, every idea we have, and every effort we make, it all has the potential to create creation. And for my last piece, all right, I have a habit of not liking to speak after I'm like basically done with whatever last piece I decided to do. So just make this disclaimer now, or not disclaimer, just to make the announcement now. As Hotep said earlier, you can find me on Facebook, especially if you look on her friends list, as E.J. Griffin Jr. I would say you could look on Facebook and YouTube for Jerry Siddhartha, but remembering how it's spelled that's a little bit difficult if you don't already know. So it's spelled Siddhartha, Siddhartha. But yeah, you can find me on Facebook or YouTube, either or. I'll have announcements about a show that's coming up. It's the Spoken Word Triad. It was originally supposed to be April 24th. It's me, Joanne Lowe, and Victoria Shinneman. But there was a schedule conflict, so that's the date's changing. So I'll have more information about that on Facebook. So again, if you want to link up with me after the show, so on and so forth, we can handle that. So I had to get that out of the way. So this next piece is also in my book as well. It's actually one of my favorite pieces, if not my favorite pieces, and probably my heaviest. It's going to be my very first time performing it on stage without reading it. So yeah, I figured tonight would be a good night to do that. It's called Unspoken Pain. And I'm taking off my glasses because I just feel like my eyes are just better being shown. So you can see me, I really can't see you, but oh well. All right, about to tell you all a story real quick. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. All right, awesome. May 7th, 2008. It was the same as any day before. I had got up, went to class, and before I left, my teacher spoke of a past before I closed the door. See, he told me that I was doing exceptionally well, better than the rest. Said that I should come to his place for some one-on-one tutoring, finish class early, and prove my best, so I took him up on his offer, seeing no harm in the deal. I arrived at his home at 5:28 that evening. I remember checking the time because I was supposed to be there at 5:30, and I was sure not to be late. I walked up and I knocked, and when the door opened, I was met with a grin. But as I walked in, I felt this presence of malice. A sinister spirit had lingered as I was shown around his palace, but I ignored it. As time passed, he kept feeding me compliments, and I adored it. See, he was the first person who had made me feel worth something in a long time. 6:31 p.m. As time progressed, he offered me a drink, and I couldn't turn him down. Not the man who spoke so highly of me, and not in his own home. So I accepted. And soon, that one drink became two, two became three, and three became me slurring my words, passed out on the floor asleep, and when I had wakened, when I came to, I woke, strapped to a bed with a man clenching my rear. I felt the strokes of another man inside me, and with each pound of pain, more blood came, more dreams shattered, more betrayal was felt, and more tears had streamed down my face. It was like my masculinity had been torn from its hinges, and all I could hear him saying, whispering in my ear was, "You wanted this, didn't you? You wanted to please me. You knew this would happen. Take it, take it, take it." He was trying to play mind games with me, trying to make me think that I wasn't a victim. But later on, I had to think, is this also how those ladies feel? Tricked and deceived by the tongue and then forcibly having their dignity stole? Every time that grown man whispers in that little girl's ear saying, "You sure are a sweet little thing. Don't tell your mommy or you'll get in trouble." Or the thoughts one after another that have her hurt, like, what could I have done? I must have deserved this. Why couldn't someone save me? Or worst of all, the one I thought myself, why me? When I got home, I couldn't even speak. I rushed straight to the shower just to scrub off the filth, to scrub off the anguish. I scrubbed harder and harder, trying to rid myself of the pain, trying to rid myself of the guilt, trying to wash out the shame that was on me, but his sweat, his stench, his tainted soul rested on my skin and it would not leave. It was like the rag that I had used had become sandpaper for. As I began to scrub harder and harder, my skin began to peel. That pain was something too real and it had cut deep. And again, I couldn't even imagine a woman wanting to give birth from such demonic heat. How could the government force a woman to deal with the thought of her most shameful moment, combining that with her own flesh, having her carry it for 9 months and then make her decide to either raise a piece of her hate or give up a piece of herself? I was lucky enough to have my parents come for me, rushing me to the hospital where they were told, so I was forced to confess. Unlike many who fight alone, won't even get help years later because they think they're good, because they don't want to relive the experience. No matter the shame I felt, I was lucky to have someone there. But those, they continue to fight because they don't want to relive the experience. Running away instead of facing the fact that until they let all of that pain out, they'll be affected by it every single day of their life and not even see more or less sex. Friendships torn easy, relationships where you match each other and don't know why, feelings of abandonment, and so much more to contest now. It was time that I had to talk to the police. And as I began to explain what happened, they questioned me. They had asked me, am I sure he split me a roofie? Did I know he was gay? Was I hiding in the closet myself? Why was I drinking underage anyway? Asking if I had blacked out, how did I know it was not consensual? So many questions suggesting that I was to blame, but I was only 15. A memory that left me forever stained, but regardless of who did what, he was to blame, for they found the drug in my system, and I was indeed underage. But yet again, I had to think of those ladies standing on this very same stage, getting asked questions like, well, what were you wearing? Were you being flirtatious? Were your pants too tight around your purse provocatively? Did your no sound facetious? And some get no justice because the laws of consent are lower. And some get no justice because the laws of consent are lower in certain states. And the laws against rape are justified if one dresses too revealing for their dates. But rape is rape. No just means for the cause. And a rapist causes rape. A dog who chases a snake, no matter how alluring the smell, is still a dog. But as for me in my case, I have to be honest. This story, it was all fictional. Because if I hadn't relayed this message graphically like this, would you have felt that pain, their pain being that much more than just physical? See, the shame and pain of a person's break goes down to their core, forever circling around their mind, body, and spirit, causing detrimental damage to the psyches evermore. But instead of getting the victim's help, we mock them, ridicule them, making them feel shame for seeking freedom. But I ask you this, could you take a day of living in their shoes? Could you take one day to survive as a rape victim? Thank you.